Microsoft discovered last year that more than 60% of people across 16 countries, including the U.S.,
said, "This is Tony Moore. Can you hear me clearly?" And I just hung up.
You know that moment. The phone rings while you are making coffee, watching the news, or sorting through your mail. You glance at the screen and do not recognize the number. Still, you answer because real life still happens over the phone. Doctors call. Pharmacies call. Contractors call. Family members borrow somebody else's phone and call. And for a lot of older adults especially, the phone is still one of the main ways important life information arrives, even in a world filled with apps and text messages. So you pick up and say hello. Then there is silence, not long. Just long enough to make you wonder whether the connection failed. You say hello again, maybe a little louder this time. Then a voice suddenly asks, "Can you hear me?" It sounds harmless, almost casual. Most people answer automatically. Yes, then the call ends. No sales pitch, no explanation. Just click, gone. It feels strange afterward, but not dangerous. More annoying than alarming. And honestly, your instinct in that moment makes complete sense. You are responding the way polite people have answered phones for decades. That is exactly why this works. The call is counting on ordinary behavior. It is counting on that quick reflex to reassure the person on the other end that you are there. That tiny exchange may not have been the real conversation at all. It may have been a test. And the moment you answered with one simple word, the system learned exactly what it needed to know. The easiest way to understand this is to picture a fishing net dragged slowly through the water. That is the central mechanism here, the response net. Scam operations use automated dialing systems that place enormous numbers of calls every day. Most of those calls fail immediately. Some numbers are disconnected. Some go straight to voicemail. Some never answer at all. But when a real person picks up and responds, the system identifies something valuable. A live human being is attached to that number. That is the entire purpose of many of these opening calls. The silence is often intentional. Automated systems wait for you to speak first because your voice confirms the line is active. Then comes the question, "Can you hear me?" It sounds innocent because it is designed to sound innocent. And when somebody replies, "Yes," the system records engagement. There is no verified evidence that a single recorded yes can magically authorize purchases or drain a bank account by itself. Consumer protection experts and investigators have repeatedly warned against that myth. But the real danger is still serious. That one word confirms responsiveness. It proves somebody answers this number and participates in conversation. Think of it as movement inside the net. The moment you answer naturally, your number becomes more valuable to the people running these systems and sometimes to other groups they share or sell data with afterward. Before that call, your number is just another random entry in a giant database. Afterward, it becomes a confirmed target. That is the shift most people never see happening. The first call is often not the scam itself. It is the sorting process before the real attempts begin. Once a number gets marked as responsive, future callers approach differently. The next call may appear to come from your area code. Another may claim to represent your bank. Another may mention Medicare, Amazon, a package delivery, or suspicious activity on an account. The callers sound more confident because the system already learned something important. Somebody answers here. That is not random. That is profiling. And now the earlier silence starts looking very different. You thought the pause meant technical trouble. In many cases, the pause exists because automated systems are waiting for proof that a human being picked up the phone. The silence is part of the filter. That is the reframe. What felt like a glitch may actually have been the opening move. And once the system identifies somebody willing to engage politely, the calls often increase. Different voices, different stories, same underlying mechanism. If you have a parent, a neighbor, or anybody in your life who answers unknown numbers out of habit or courtesy. This matters because the people running these operations are not hunting for careless people. They are hunting for reachable people. The consequences build quietly. That is what makes this so deceptive. A person answers one strange call, and nothing dramatic happens immediately. No money disappears. No alarms go off. Life continues normally. Then more calls begin arriving over the next few days or weeks. Some sound friendly. Some sound urgent. Some already know basic information like your name or city because personal data from breaches and marketing databases circulates constantly online. That familiarity lowers your guard for a second. And that second matters. One caller asks you to confirm a date of birth. Another asks for a verification code texted to your phone. Another claims your bank account faces suspicious activity and urges immediate action. Each interaction gathers another small piece of information. Alone, those details may seem harmless. Combined, they become powerful. Criminal investigations over the years have shown how social engineering works through accumulation. Small fragments create convincing impersonations. And there is another cost people rarely discuss. Constant scam calls wear people down emotionally. The phone becomes stressful instead of useful. Some people stop answering entirely and miss legitimate calls from doctors, relatives, or businesses because trust in the phone system erodes over time. That exhaustion is part of the damage too. The response net does not rely on one giant mistake. It relies on pressure building, slowly through repeated contact until somebody responds automatically instead of carefully. Scam calls rarely begin with the money request anymore. Older scam operations used to move too fast. The caller demanded gift cards, EPs, wire transfers, or banking information within minutes. Those calls still exist, but many modern operations behave differently because the people running them understand psychology better than they used to. They build familiarity first. They create a sense of routine. Sometimes the first few calls are almost forgettable. A brief silence, a disconnected line, a fake survey, a harmless sounding question. The goal is not immediate theft. The goal is conditioning. The more often somebody answers and engages, the more natural future conversations feel. That matters because familiarity lowers resistance. You hear a similar voice pattern, a similar introduction, a similar local number. Your brain begins treating the interaction as recognizable instead of suspicious. That is why these systems can become surprisingly effective over time. Human beings trust patterns. We always have. A repeated interaction feels safer than a completely new one, even when the interaction itself started artificially. And once a scammer senses comfort on the line, the tone changes. The caller becomes warmer, more specific, more urgent. Sometimes they even transfer the call to another person who sounds more professional or authoritative. What started as a strange silent call now becomes a coordinated attempt to extract information or money from somebody who never intended to participate in a scam at all. That gradual escalation is especially dangerous because it often overlaps with real-life stress. A person waiting for medical results may answer quickly because they expect unknown numbers. Somebody helping an aging parent may stay on the line longer because they worry about emergencies. Somebody managing financial paperwork may react emotionally when a caller claims there is suspicious activity tied to an account. Scammers understand timing better than most people realize. They know uncertainty makes human beings more responsive. And once pressure enters the conversation, decision-making narrows. You stop evaluating the bigger picture and start focusing on the immediate problem the caller created. That is why these operations rely so heavily on urgency. A supposed package issue, a frozen account, a missed payment, a relative in trouble. The caller wants your attention, locked onto solving the problem before you fully question whether the problem exists. And because many of these calls now use spoofed numbers that mimic local businesses or government offices, the interaction feels more believable than older scam attempts used to feel. You are not dealing with obvious nonsense anymore. You are dealing with systems engineered to sound ordinary. That is why smart people still get caught in these situations. Not because they lack intelligence, because the interaction was designed to trigger automatic social responses before logical analysis fully engages. That is why the defense has to interrupt the process early. You do that with something I call the quiet pause method. Short name. Simple routine. Remember the fishing net from earlier. The net only works when something moves inside it. Your goal is to stop signaling movement. Step 1. Never answer an unknown caller with yes, or even with your name. Let the caller speak first. A legitimate caller usually identifies themselves quickly because they have a real reason for calling. Scam systems often wait for you to confirm you are human before continuing. Silence disrupts that sequence immediately. Step 2. If the caller asks, "Can you hear me?" respond with a question instead of confirmation. Say, "Who is calling?" or "What is this regarding?" That small shift changes the balance of control. They want automatic reassurance. You want verification. Step 3. End the call the moment pressure appears. No arguing. No explaining. Just hang up. Then block the number if your phone allows it. Those 3 steps break the mechanism directly. The response net depends on quick reflexes and conversational momentum. The quiet pause method removes both. They want movement inside the net. You give them stillness instead. And that single adjustment can dramatically reduce how valuable your number appears inside these systems over time. There is another reason this method works so well. It protects your attention before the caller can manipulate your emotions. Scam calls succeed because they create urgency faster than people can fully process what is happening. A supposed fraud alert, a frightened relative, a canceled insurance policy. The emotional reaction arrives first. Careful thinking arrives second. That happens to everyone. Intelligence does not prevent it. Experience does not eliminate it. The strongest protection is not sharper instincts in the middle of pressure. It is a routine you already decided to follow before the phone rings. That is why the quiet pause method should feel almost boring. Reliable habits usually are. Unknown number. Caller speaks first. No automatic confirmation. Immediate disconnect if the conversation turns strange. Same response every time. Legitimate organizations usually have backup ways to contact you. Banks send notices. Doctors leave voicemails. Family members text or call again. Real businesses understand that people ignore suspicious numbers now. Scam operations rely on surprise because surprise creates openings. You are not being rude when you slow the interaction down. You are protecting your attention from somebody trying to rush you into automatic cooperation. That is an important distinction. The goal is not to fear every unknown call forever. The goal is to stop treating every ringing phone like an emergency that deserves instant trust. Once you understand the mechanism, the pressure starts losing its grip. The most important instruction in this entire video is simple. Do not give unknown callers automatic engagement. That one habit changes everything. Notice how different that sounds from older advice people used to hear. Years ago, warnings focused on obvious danger signs, strange accents, wild stories, ridiculous promises. But modern scam systems often begin with something far quieter and far more believable. A calm voice asking whether you can hear them. The opening sounds ordinary because ordinary lowers defenses. That is why thoughtful, responsible adults still get drawn into these conversations. They are responding to social cues that people trusted for decades. The behavior itself is not foolish. The environment changed around it. A ringing phone used to signal a genuine attempt to reach you. Today, Automated technology allows criminals to place huge numbers of calls at almost no cost. The economics change completely, and once you understand that, something important happens emotionally. The shame disappears. This is not about intelligence. It is about system design. Somebody engineered a process meant to trigger automatic human responses. That realization matters because it changes how you explain the issue to people you care about. You are no longer saying, "Be smarter." You are saying, "Do not feed the mechanism that preserves dignity while still giving protection." And people absorb information much better when they feel respected instead of judged. There is also something quietly empowering about understanding how small behavioral changes can disrupt very large systems. Scam operations scale because most people react predictably. The caller expects politeness, immediate answers, quick reassurance. The moment enough people stop responding automatically, the efficiency of those systems drops. That does not mean scam calls disappear overnight, but it does mean the mechanism weakens. Think about how different the interaction becomes when you stay silent for a few seconds, instead of rushing to fill the gap. Suddenly, the pressure shifts. The caller has to work harder. The script loses rhythm. The artificial flow breaks apart. Many automated systems disconnect almost immediately when they fail to receive a fast verbal response, because the software was designed to detect engagement quickly. That means your silence is not passive at all. It is active resistance. And the same principle applies beyond phone calls. Email scams, fake text messages, and fraudulent customer service calls often depend on the exact same psychological trigger: immediate reaction before careful thought. Once you recognize that pattern, you begin spotting it everywhere. Slow down the interaction. Ask questions first. Refuse pressure. Those habits create space between stimulus and response. And that space is where good decisions happen. Think back to the opening moment again, the unknown number, the strange silence, the quick question. Earlier, it felt random, maybe annoying, maybe forgettable. Now you can see the structure underneath it. The silence may have been deliberate. The question had a purpose. The caller was not necessarily trying to start a conversation. They were trying to identify a responsive human being. And once you recognize that pattern, the mystery disappears. You do not need advanced technology to defend yourself against it. You just need a calm routine that interrupts the sequence before the pressure begins. Let the caller identify themselves first. Replace automatic answers with questions. Disconnect the moment urgency enters the conversation. Simple steps, clear control. The response net depends on movement, quick reassurance, instant cooperation. You do not have to provide any of those things. If somebody in your life still answers every unknown call because that is how they were raised, share this with them, not to frighten them, to help them understand the mechanism before somebody else tries to use it against them. The phone may still ring tomorrow, but now, instead of reacting automatically, you know how to pause, stay steady, and keep yourself outside the net.